Welcome to the Shutter Saga Podcast. I'm your host, Marvin Blue. Join me each week as we dive into amazing conversations with some of our industry's top leaders. We will talk about photography, business, and most of all, share the stories that have laid the foundation to our journey in this world we call photography. A couple of ways to support the show is to like, subscribe, and share the show with others. Leave those 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and if you're a fan of seeing us live, we are on YouTube. Also, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Again, thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show. Welcome one, welcome all. It's another beautiful day out there in the neighborhood. If you're tuning in, my guest this week, he's just an all-around awesome guy. But I will start this podcast off with a little bit of a broken heart, if I may, because I was expecting him to be topless. This is the only person that I ever really wanted topless for this show. So for you fellas out here that are tuning in live on YouTube watching this, I'm going to sincerely publicly apologize because my guest is not topless. He's being selfish that way, probably because he recently got married, but it's okay. We'll forgive him. We'll give him a pass, but he's coming to us from Florida. It's my guy, Ric Lewis. Ric, how you doing, buddy?
Good, Marvin. Thanks for having me, man.
So if you guys, haven't tuned to Ric recently, he's been traveling the world, decided he wants to take himself off the market. So we can no longer make him our guy crush anymore because he's now taken and he's spoken for. Bastard. Decided who gets married? This whole I fall in love and want to get married shit. I don't know. I don't get it. But if you've been following him, he's been married now, but he's still torturing the girls, giving them the worst dad jokes ever, which I can appreciate it as a dad. So yes, I tune in every time I get a chance to hear one of your crazy dad jokes, which is hilarious. So thank you for that comedy every chance you get to post it.
Absolutely. Well, I don't get to see her as often as I want. She lives in North Carolina, so when she's down visiting, I got to bombard her with all the jokes I have up my sleeve. She goes with it, she plays along with it, so it's pretty awesome.
That's the best part too, when they know, all right, Dad's gonna embarrass me. Just run. I can either react and be like, "I hate you, you're embarrassing," or just lean into it and just have fun with it. So that's the best, So are you all? Is it all girls?
Well, yeah, I have one daughter. That's it, and other girl in that video was my niece, so my brother's daughter. So yeah, one daughter.
But you're a girl dad.
She'll be 18 in 2 months, so that's why she lives in North Carolina. Yeah,
that's right there, right along with Jaden. Jaden's in basic training right now, and then when she gets back, she starts college. So
yeah,
they're right there, right along in age. And yeah, you met Jaden back in Vegas, But so let's rewind here real quick. The way we were introduced to each other has been we ran similar circles, but we never officially met, was in the same space until this year in Las Vegas. Which was awesome. We were, at Sal's at Project Obscura.
Yeah.
And I just remember the first thing that stuck out is your shirt, which was no clicks, more clicks. And I always said, I love that. And I said, I wish, show it off. Because it's a principle that it's a principle that I totally believe in. And, and just still to this day believe, even after all these years, the connections. So the first question right out the gate is, man, how important have been the connections that you made in your years as a photographer now so far?
Well, the biggest thing is I try to meet everybody. I try not to be a dick, because when I first got into photography, that's all I dealt with, to be honest with you. I had a handful, maybe 5 photographers who were cool, willing to share their knowledge, take me under their wing. But for the most part, they're pretty cliquey. And I was a model at first. Just laugh at me.
No. Your good looking ass was a model? Shocker.
I was a fake groom. So I've been fake married 16 times. I've been published in a ton of bridal magazines. And so they would pair me up with a different bride, and pay me my fee or whatever. And I would act like I'm in love. And apparently I'm really good at acting like it. And I got published, and I was like, I wonder if learning photography would make me a better model, because then I would know what angles the photographer's looking for, what they're talking about when they say, I have no catch lights in your eyes. What does that mean? So I went to a pawn shop and got a $300 camera and started taking photos and fell in love with that more. But all that to say, all these photographers loved me when I was a model. And the moment I picked up a camera, I had to deal with, oh, now you're a competition. Now you're our enemy. And it was such a weird scope to try to navigate because I thought I was friends with a lot of the photographers that hired me, and we talked a lot on Facebook. And it's like I'm an enemy now because I'm not taking clients from you. You know, it was weird. So my biggest thing when I meet people now is to let them know, like, if there's anything that you could possibly learn from me, or is there anything I can learn from you, like, let's learn it. Let's just have fun. Let's collaborate. Let's learn together. Project Obscura, as a matter of fact, where I first met you.
Yep.
I won a ticket. I was supposed to be there as an attendee taking pictures, but it got moved indoors at the last minute, and there were no lights. Guess who drove his van to Vegas and had a ton of lights in the back of his van? This guy.
I remember we were like, we need people with muscles that can lift these up. I'm like, gotcha. You know, I'm like, you know, I literally, my daughter won the ticket because she just wanted to do like shoot background and everything and do social media. And it was funny because she wins, but I didn't. And I said, hey, look, she wants to go. She can't go without me. And I was like, they're like, we'll give you, you know, just show up with her, you know.
Yeah.
And it was just like, don't, you know, and she was there shooting behind the scenes and having a good time. But it's just like she getting to experience that behind the scenes of like what we do in photography. She really walked away with a lot of respect for what we do, because it was a long day. She'd never been at a shoot that long before, and she was like worn out. But and then she's like, "You guys are gonna do this again tomorrow?" And it was funny because Kayla was I was supposed to go to her shoot that during that week at night, and I ended up passing it up to take her out to dinner. And she was like, "I feel so bad." I was like, "No, I'll get to take it again." And then as soon as I don't show up, everyone's messaging me like, "Bro, you're missing out. You're missing out." And Johnny's sending me all these pictures from Kayla. He's sending pictures of you and Kayla and everybody. He's like, "You're missing out." I'm like, please stop doing that to me.
Yeah,
I hate FOMO, man. I said I'm gonna, and I promised myself, I said when I get the opportunity to work with Kayla again and work with you again, I'm definitely gonna do it again, because it's just I have so much fun, and I always get pushed. My boundaries get pushed in regards to lighting, which is where I know you the most from. Is just your ridiculous you know, lighting that you're able to pull off every time. I mean, you are one of the lighting guys that I know. But like, what was it about lighting? That's going to segue into this question. What was it about lighting that made you, I guess, lean into that more so over anything else when I look at your work?
I honestly don't know what made me want to learn like off-camera flash or constant lighting. I think starting off as a photographer and doing studio stuff, I probably would have to give credit to Kayla for a lot of it, because we met about 6 months into me doing photography, and I was mostly just doing stuff outside. But she was a special effects makeup artist out of Atlanta. She's been on movie sets. She's done makeup on movie sets. So we started dating, and I would come home from work and she would look like Bloody Mary. Like, she would have prosthetics with broken mirror in her face, you know, and broken glass. And she'd be like, "You got to photograph this." And I'm like, well, outside really doesn't work for that. I got to do that inside, you know, on a seamless paper roll. So now I guess I have to learn lighting because I have no light inside, right? So I was so cheap in the beginning, man. You know, I bought just constant light, like ring lights, you know, for $100 on Amazon, or the type of photography lights where you screw the 80-watt bulb in it, you know, and it comes with a diffuser. $40 on Amazon. They're really cheap. And so it was honestly just from trying to light Kayla up and get the look that she wanted for her makeup look, to kind of showcase her makeup look. And I think that's where I got so good at lighting. And I mean, I've honestly had pictures published that all I used was a lamp. I mean, it's just a lamp. I think people overcomplicate their lighting, and I keep it insanely simple. Like some of the stuff you see behind me, most of it's just two lights. And like any of like my fine art painterly looking stuff that you see, that's one light. Like, I keep it simple.
Yep. Nice. So so what year did you actually start photography? You said it was it 06-ish or?
Oh shoot, no man. I started modeling in 2018, so I got into photography like 2019. I've only been doing photography.
I'm sorry. I meant to say 2016. I don't know why I said 06. Like, God.
That's all right. Yeah, I've been doing photography.
I was in the Army there, so I'm like, yeah.
For it's going on 5 or 6 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the 5 years, when did it start to click, or you have that aha moment that like, oh, I might actually like Like everybody has that one picture where they took it and they go, yeah, this is that moment where I knew I belonged or I knew I was a photographer.
When that hit for me,
Yeah, when did that hit for you?
It's hard. I don't want to sound arrogant because I'm not. Like, you can ask Kayla. I suffer with imposter syndrome all the time, but I always knew that I was good at it. I always felt good at it. Like, of course, I can look at my work from 5 years ago and be like, man, I've grown so much. I would have done this differently. I would have done that differently. But I also had some bangers, like my first 3 or 4 months into photography. But it kind of goes into my personality. Like, I mean, hell, 4 months into photography, I was already playing around with underwater photography, and that's extremely hard.
Oh yeah.
You can ask Kayla, like when it comes to like anything like guitar, working out, like I'll completely immerse myself in the subject and do nothing but watch YouTube videos on it and try to become a little expert. And so that's how it was with photography. I was constantly all day watching YouTube videos on retouching. Like, I remember first learning about retouching and frequency separation and stuff like that, watching videos from Pratik Naik, probably old Creative Live videos, like you mentioned, or stuff from Sue Bryce's portrait system on Pratik, and then now I'm friends with him. Like, we talk every week. Like, it's like you taught me how to retouch without knowing that you taught me, but it was I knew that I had a gift at it, or at least an eye at it from the beginning. But I think it was really when I became a finalist for the Pro Prince Invitational that it really sunk in.
Okay.
Like, oh, wow. Okay. So, and that was recent. So, I've been dealing with a lot of imposter syndrome. Like, yeah, am I good? Yeah, but am I good enough? No. But in my mind, I'll never be good enough. But then when I placed, just looking at the top 100 out of those finalists, the work's blowing my mind. And you mean to tell me I'm in the top 5? Like,
yeah, no,
that's
I totally know where you're coming from with that. I remember when I got the email from Pro Prince that I was the, featured photographer for the week. And I literally was just like, dude, you guys don't understand. Like, when you were CG Pro and I was first trying to buy that first canvas for my client and, didn't know shit about pricing or whatever. Like, you guys have been with a part of my life and career from the start. So to come full circle, I was like, dude, this is awesome. And then it's like, it gives me those aspirations to like, to pursue competition just to test where I'm at, amongst my peers. And I mean, but there's nothing wrong with having imposter syndrome. I don't want to speak on your behalf, but I think when you said, hit it well, when you say, when you get into something, you immerse yourself. I mean, I'm notoriously known for being obsessed. Like, there are certain things in this world that I just get obsessed about and I want to like become better at it. And, and I love doing it, whether it's, photography or whether it's, just learning how to cook. Like, it wasn't just enough to follow a recipe and cook a meal for my family, but getting better and, what, shout out to the Bear and Burn and all these different movies and TV shows that I watch about cooking, and this cooking shows that I watch is just, I always say, why do I have to go to a restaurant to get that? Why, when I have the capabilities of buying everything and doing it at home? So then I become obsessed with learning how to cook and, letting my wife and my daughters benefit from that. So I totally understand where you're coming from, with jumping into it head first and, not looking back. And you mentioned Kayla. Obviously we gave it away that, you and her just exchanged nuptials recently. We got to live vicariously through your wedding. But the unique thing is it featured one of my favorite things about being a photographer, which is traveling. So you got married in Peru, man. Including Peru, how many countries have you had the pleasure of seeing because of photography?
Costa Rica, Bahamas, Guatemala, and
So what's been your favorite part with traveling?
I can't stand traveling.
You're killing me. Oh my God. Uh-oh, we got breaking news. Rick hates traveling.
But I love, but I don't mind traveling in the U.S. when I can drive my van across country. That's fine. I can't stand flying. It's not the act of flying. It's the trying to get to the next gate in time. And you've already paid for a checked bag here at this airport. Why are they making you pay again just because you had a layover? Like, just crazy stuff like that. But
I get it.
I like meeting new people, learning about new cultures, trying the food. But I got to say Peru is my favorite. But it was just amazing. Like, I can't thank Aftershoot enough for what they did for us in Peru. Like we were already married, and we were supposed to have our ceremony though in it was 2021, whenever COVID happened. The venue completely canceled. Yeah, they canceled our ceremony and gave us a refund. And we've just been so busy with photography and with her wings that we never really planned a ceremony. So Aftershoot said they were having a retreat in Peru and asked us to model because we were already married. So why not? And we're like, sure, we love Aftershoot. We love Justin and Veronica, and why would we not do that? And, they found out that we had not said our vows yet. Like we hadn't had a ceremony. We said vows, but we never had a ceremony. So Veronica from Aftershoot was like, wait a minute. You actually haven't had a ceremony? I was like, no. She was like, say less. And so they planned this whole ceremony, planned and paid for this whole thing.
Oh, wow.
The last day after their retreat. And it wasn't even what am I trying to say? It wasn't even to try to bank on your
namesake,
who paid for the retreat to get to shoot an international wedding, because they actually said, no, you can't bring your cameras. Like the retreat's over. This is for them. Right.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even like they were trying to get clout. They just did it out of kindness of their heart, man. And, Jason Marino, he's the one that officiated, and he's a handsome dude too. He looks like, I call him the Rock of photography, Dwayne Johnson of photography. So it was just an amazing experience to have, our photography friends and family there. It's exactly what creatives like me and Kayla would have wanted. We wouldn't have wanted like a wedding with like a bunch of family members that we talk to once every 5 years. We would want like a creative inspired wedding, and I'm pretty sure we probably broke the Guinness Book of World Records for the most photographers at one wedding. Whether they were shooting or not, they didn't have their cameras, but still they're photographers. They were there, so. But big shout out to Aftershoot for doing that, and the whole family and everyone that was involved.
Nice. Now you mentioned being in a van. Are you a closet van lifer? Because that's been my thing recently. Is I love watching converted camper vans and RVs, and I was the kid that grew up on the road trips. We couldn't fly anywhere because we were broke, but we used to be able to go everywhere. So I learned how to survive in a camper van and all that good stuff. So are you a closet van lifer?
So that when we bought it, because it doesn't have any back seats, it is a big cargo van with an extended cab. The goal was to convert it into, but then we thought about it and was like, well, we're going to need storage for all of your wings because, and all my photography gear, because the goal was just travel the U.S. and do workshops throughout the U.S. And we did that, and then stop at conventions along the way. So then we were like, okay, so we can either buy like a trailer for storage and convert the van, or I can just buy a camper, because that van tows, like a travel trailer, that van tows 7,100. So we just bought us like a really cheap, because I'm extremely frugal. We just bought us a really cheap camper where the owner like redid the inside. It was like a 1973 camper, like a salvage title. The thing probably, I don't know, it's probably going to fall apart any minute now. So we didn't convert the van, but we lived out of that travel. We would tow that and then kept the van for storage. So, and we would stop at campsites, set up, and I also had a generator in case of emergencies. So, you get really close to your significant other when your little small kitchenette is literally 5 feet from the bathroom.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I always say, early in my marriage, when I was in the Army, the road trips that I had with my wife were probably some of my most favorite times. That travel between wherever we were coming from, when we were coming back to Texas to visit family, or whenever I was driving somewhere and she got to be with me during those times, like whether it was 12 hours on the road, 14 hours on the road, or just 6 hours on the road. Those were just those times, the conversations, the joking. That's what built a lot of our bonds.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a great experience, and people at campgrounds, campsites, a lot of them are just so nice, so friendly, so willing to help. It's kind of like a community mentality. You need to borrow this? Great. You need to borrow that? Great. Here it seems like people can't even get along with their neighbors. At a campsite, you're a lot closer to the person next to you, but you, I don't know, there's camaraderie in it, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, no, totally. I totally get it. It's a different. It embodies the word community a lot more, and I think for us for what we do, like that type of mentality is very important. You know, like where I live at now, we don't talk to our neighbors, whatever. We kind of keep to ourselves, but that's the dynamic that's been created. You know, unfortunately, but at the same time, you know, we learn how to thrive in our privacy as well. So we just kind of adjusted to it. But then when we get around people we want to be around, then we're completely wide open, you know, open books. So
Yeah, no,
I
I
always look
agree
at
with
that.
you. Like, yeah, the society is different. We just got a house down in Port Charlotte, Florida, and I mean, 4 years ago, whenever I would buy a home, the neighbors would, if I was new to the neighborhood, they'd bring a basket or something over, or at least come
Mm-hmm.
introduce themselves, and vice versa. If somebody moved, a couple doors down from me or whatever, I'd stop in, say, hey, you ever need help moving something? I'm your guy. Everyone bothers me when they need something moved, like this kind of. But no, we've been living here for about 6 weeks now, and haven't even met the neighbors, haven't even seen them outside. So
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, now if you were married next to some photographers, then yeah, we'd be helping you out, taking pictures, borrowing. You know,
yeah.
can I borrow some batteries? You got a lens I can borrow? It's like I've loaned out so much gear, and I'm like, I'm so reckless sometimes when I like when I'm at these conferences and I know people and they're like, hey, I need to go do this. I forgot to grab my bag. I'm like, hey, just go to my bag and grab one of the cameras out of there. Just bring it back later. They're like, okay, cool. And I'm like, wait, what did I just do?
Yeah,
Did
yeah,
I
it's
just give
happened
him
to
my
me
extra
too.
R5? I'm like, did I just give him my extra R5? Like, what am I thinking? But you know, I know they
Yeah,
end up returning it, and I'm not worried about it. But
yeah.
yeah,
Imaging. I found my Sony 3 booths down, just sitting on a chair. I don't know how long I've been sitting there. Just any photographer could
did
have grabbed by and just.
you probably sat it down and did something and forgot you left it
No, I
there?
let someone borrow it.
Oh, ooh, yeah, nah, that's oh wow, yeah, you got lucky.
Yeah,
You
so it's the
got so
same
lucky.
same thing with you. Like I
I at
have
least know when I
insurance.
give it to somebody, but yeah, exactly.
The goal is not to
Ex-
use it.
Exactly. I mean, how many times do we see, hey, who does it? Who do you get your insurance through? Like I see that post like at least every other month. I'm like, dude, yeah, everyone knows we use these three people. These are the three mains. You just get the insurance. Like, do you really use it? Like, it ain't about using it. You want it there in place in case you have to use it,
Yeah,
you know? But yeah,
especially being
but
for me
let's,
being underwater, I better have insurance doing underwater
oh yeah,
photography.
no. Yeah, I want to tap into that. I'm glad you mentioned that because you do. Like, I don't want to say you're a jack of all trades. I hate that term, but I mean you're a photographer, so you never like I've never said well he's only doing this specific genre. So I mean, pretty much cast a wide net. And then with respect, I say the same thing about Kelly. You guys, your net is really wide, but um, underwater photography. Let's talk about that, man. Because like one, if you can't swim, that's like it's the coolest shit I've ever seen, but it's also like I know it's difficult and hard to do. But what
Yeah,
got you into underwater photography?
just seeing it online, and honestly, me and Kayla just been like, "You want to try it?" And at the time, we lived in a community that had a public pool, and I would notice like around 7 p.m. nobody was in the pool. Um, they're probably eating dinner or whatever. I don't know. So I just got one of those little $40. So stupid, man. One of those little $40 underwater housings you get on Amazon. It's DICI pack, Dicky
Mm-hmm.
pack or Dicka pack. I don't know how you say it. Or DICA pack. I don't know. But anyway, and we just went under, and I knocked it out of the park first time. But it probably says more about Kayla than it does about me because she is really efficient in the water. Like, not everybody can model underwater. It's a lot to you got hair in your face, your dress is coming up, you got to keep your dress down. You can't have bubbles in your nose or bubbles in your mouth. You can't be squinting, you got to look beautiful, or whatever. So, she knew how to go under, push her dress down, do like this with her head real quick so the hair flows back, and stays back. You're
Mm-hmm.
doing like 6 things at once so the photographer can get that shot. So I think a lot of my success at that came from Kayla.
It kind of reminds me of a lot of my early success where I used to say, "Don't let the models give you a false sense of security."
Yeah.
Because I used to say this at Shutterfest all the time when I first started. I said I walk away from Shutterfest thinking I am the shit as a photographer, and then I realized, oh no, I had some awesome models because they made me think I was great. I'm looking at these pictures like I'm phenomenal. Then I forget I don't know how to repeat this back home. So you have to learn that. But yeah, definitely like so. And I look at underwater photography as a kind of a dare to be different. It's something different. I feel like it's one of those things that not everybody can do it.
Nope.
And when it's executed, to perfection, when it's great, it just creates. It's one of those, reminds me why I love photography. Because you just, the beauty behind it, it is artwork to me.
Well, it's the tenacity not to give up. Because I've shot quite a few people underwater since Kayla. So with Kayla, it was a great experience because as a photographer, I was like, wow, she's doing this, and this, and this. So now when I go to my first client, I can say, hey, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. It's a lot to concentrate on. You need to do these things. But I knew what to look for by that time. But that's also, man, if people, I don't want to say fail, because you're only failing if you give up. But if something doesn't work out exactly how you planned the first time, that's not a failure if you keep going. It's just a lesson.
Yes, falling short. Yeah, I think
it's just a lesson.
The true crime is,
what do I need to do to make this better? And so with me and Kayla, dude, we just don't give up. We will keep going until we get what we had in our head. It's a good trait to have, especially in your partner. I had a really good friend who did photography, and me and him always got together every weekend to shoot. And he was so talented and so good at studio stuff, so good at outdoor portraits. But the minute that you tried to get him out of his depth of, outdoor portraits or studio portraits, he wouldn't nail it. And then he would I'm not going to do it again. I'm done. It's like with underwater, all his shots came out blurry. He's like, I'm over it. I'm done. Nope. I'm selling this underwater housing that I bought. And it made me so frustrated because I was like, dude, the next time you go, you're going to nail it. You're going to get it, right? Don't give up. But as photographers, as creatives, that's an important mindset to have. This picture right back here is with a Westcott optical spot. It looks really cool, right? Do you know how long it took me to get the sliver on his face exactly how I wanted it on his face? It took me about 45 minutes, right? You get
tortured with you. Yeah, that little thing, I want this shot. You see the vision. You see, you have the layout to do it, and you're like, I can't get that light to cut right. What am I doing wrong? And then you're in your head, and then you have to, God forbid, if it's a client, because if it's a client, it's even worse because now you have to nail it fast in front of them because they don't want to be there all day. And you're like, trust me. And then it's it's almost like the mental torture you put yourself through. You want to know this perfect shot. You see it in your head. And then when you finally know that shot in your head, then you flip that camera around and you let them see it. And if they don't react the way you expected them to react, you feel like it was all for nothing, So, I mean, I totally get that, and I love challenges too, like photography wise, as a photographer, I love challenges. I mean, I've played with the idea of what, maybe I'll look at doing underwater next year. Maybe I'll start asking more questions or whatever, because again, challenges is what gets you up out of bed and, what makes everything exciting. I get the pleasure of partying every weekend because I shoot a wedding and I'm at at the reception, it's a party and we're having fun and we're yelling and screaming and singing and dancing and we're smiling and we're happy. And so I'm living the dream, but then creatively it's where am I being pushed? And that's where I had to, understand that sometimes creatively I wasn't getting that at weddings. That's why I jumped back into really doing portraits again, along with weddings, because I needed that creative outlet. Then I got opportunities to challenge myself, to try something different. I had brides that were getting pregnant and I wouldn't even offer to take their maternity pictures because I was like, I don't care, they'll find a maternity photographer. I wasn't into that. Then I got challenged creatively to do one. And then I saw the dress and then I started then I had a vision. I wanted to do this and do that. Then before you know it, now I'm like, I'm doing maternities now. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, add to the arsenal.
Maternity, I get asked all the time, what's your favorite thing to shoot? And it honestly is maternity. Maternity is my favorite thing to photograph. And I may get in trouble for saying this, but I have to be honest. And I will always be honest. And I mean it with the best intentions. I love maternity so much because most moms, and I've talked with them, they feel comfortable going to a woman photographer, someone who has been pregnant before, someone who is a mom, someone who can relate. So the fact that I even got that client to go with me is I love that feeling because it's I can't relate. I don't know what it's like to be a woman. I don't know what it's like to be pregnant. I don't know what it's like to give birth. but this person sees something in my work that she's like, no, I want that guy to do my maternity. To me, that's huge. It's such an honor. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You're trusting me to take these very important photos of you. And I have no idea what it's like to be in your position, but I can still sympathize, right? And I can still get a beautiful memory for you captured. And so I love maternity for that, but I also love it because I think it is the most empowering genre. And I know people say boudoir is empowering, and I agree. Boudoir can be very empowering. I know firsthand because I was insanely overweight up until my 20s. And then in 2017, when I got into modeling, someone was like, have you ever done like a boudoir, like model for it? I was like, no, but I'll try. I didn't know what it was, right? I was like, as long as I'm not like doing anything gross for the camera or whatever, like, no, you're just in your boxers. I'm like, great. But I remember looking at those pictures afterwards and was like, that's what I look like. Like, that's me. You didn't like retouch this. Like, no, that's you. And it was from someone dealing with being picked on so much in his kid years and his teenage years. So I know boudoir is empowering, right? But give me mama. Give me someone who's gained quite a bit of weight or whose body and physique has changed quite significantly in 32 weeks, who's dealing with hormones, who's dealing with different hungers and cravings, who's dealing with possibly morning sickness or dealing with swollen ankles, and let me make her look at a picture and be like, wow, that's me. To me, that's empowering. Way more empowering than any other genre. So I'm sorry, I rambled on there, but that maternity.
No, dude, that's what your ramble and rant as you called it just now is perfect because again, it's like it's pulling back the veil. Because I mean, like I said, how many people do I know that know you and like but have never met you, and I mention your name to them, they're like, oh my god, I love him, or they say, oh my god, I love Kayla. I'm like, they're people too. Just go introduce yourself to them. Like I just like again when we're in Vegas, we finally got to meet and we got to hang out in person for a little bit, and then it was like people were like still on the outside, like afraid to walk up to you or afraid to walk up to this person or that person. I'm like, dude, just go talk to them. They're not going to bite your head off. They're not on this pedestal. They really love, meeting people that that love what we love, and they want to share anytime they can. Like this is, that's what makes, in a way, that's what makes you special, because you don't gatekeep, and you always have been genuine when people finally do meet you in person. You want to give them what you can in those moments.
It blows our mind because in our mind we're two dorks that love each other and do creative stuff together. Like we don't think she's out there right now in the living room watching the Y-Files, which is like a conspiracy YouTube channel, like that's just, like we just, that's who we are. So like, I get the facade maybe that Facebook or social media gives to people. Like, people may think like we're bigger than what we are. Are we successful at photography? Yes. Is her wing business successful? Yes. But I was successful before photography. I was successful as an engineer. So I'm still that same guy. Like I'm just, I'll talk music with you all day. I'll talk religion with you all day. I won't talk politics at all. But, I'll talk anything you want to talk, except that one thing. I'm down for it. And, she's the same way. She Tina twerks all the time. She got videos on Facebook of her Tina. I can't go to the grocery store without her twerking like a grandma. Like,
that's funny.
This is who we are.
So I think that's probably the payback to like for you doing the terrible dad jokes, or like anytime I can have fun, I'm gonna take it. Like because again, we live in such a serious world where everything has to be so serious all the time. You're like, sometimes laughing out loud, sometimes singing karaoke like no one's around is the best therapy out there. And I'm all about that. And I have witnessed some of the dancing from her at Vegas, so I was like, "Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about." So
yeah, it's goofy, but it's so rewarding too. She makes connections. I do too. I don't want to say the things we do, but someone we made a connection with, let's say they got a diagnosis and they're in the hospital, Kayla will go out of her way to send them something, right? just because it's a connection that we made, and that's another human that we made, and a connection that we made, and we value human life, and we value the humans we interact with. Even if they don't always agree with us, we still value them as a human, and we just love that connection and love meeting new people and getting new perspectives. And we had one lady cry when she met us. Like, I guess we inspired her so much, and the fact that we have this romance with each other, and we generally do love each other, just inspires her. And we have no idea that we're affecting people that way. I mean, in my mind, I'm just going on Facebook and posting pictures. You know, like, I don't know that so many people are watching us. Like, and we do want them to come talk to us. We do want them to meet them. We do want them to send us messages. I can say I'm a little better about responding to the messages than Kayla, because she works with her hands so much. She's hand detaching each feather, right? And she has so many orders that a lot of times her phone gets put up on the counter for like 12 hours straight, you know, but she loves it. She loves it when she hears from people and when she meets new people. And if she was in this room right now, she'd be saying the same thing. Like, I'm just a human. That's just, I'm a kid that made a career out of arts and crafts.
In this moment, this is where I wish like Kayla was here, and she just says everything totally opposite. Like, look, Ric's been riding my coattail since day one. I am the reason he's. I'm gonna laugh if that's like, if she just pulls a stunt like that, and I'm like, yes, finally, let's hear it now.
What
do you ever get?
Can I be honest?
You always talk about yeah, go for it.
So, like when I said about imposter syndrome, it's exactly that. My imposter syndrome's different than other people's. So me, I'm constantly asking myself, did I get this ambassadorship, or did I place in this competition because of me and my work, or because they love my wife and she's awesome?
I was getting ready to ask that because you mentioned imposter syndrome. I said, how much of your, because you know, and this is a question that's designed for you or people in your situation where your spouse is also a business partner or another photographer. So with respect, I asked you, do you find yourself comparing yourself to Kayla, or saying, is this happening because of Kayla, or is it me? Or, you know, how do you balance separating that separating that and keeping, I guess, composure, if that's the right word to use?
Yeah. So
in those moments,
I deal with it all the time, and you can ask her. Like, I'm always like, did, you know, so and so whatever just asked me about an ambassadorship, but is that because they like my work, or is that because you're Kayla Douglas? You know. And I've often joked around too, like, if I changed my name to Ric Douglas Photography, I'd have like 30,000 more followers tomorrow. You know, like, just because her last name's Douglas, but it's a joke. But I come at it the way I've always come at it, because when I first got into photography, I mean, I was making well over 6 figures as an engineer, so I didn't need photography. But I was like, she's making these wings, she's doing these makeup looks, like, I want to give her good material, I want to promote her, because, you know, 5 years ago, she wasn't making a dime at this. And so that's always been my goal, is to uplift and promote Kayla. So if I do get in it, that's the way I face my imposter syndrome, is at the end of the day, I have to say, so what if this company offered me an ambassadorship? Let's say it's because of Kayla. Great. I'll take that ambassadorship, and I'll continue to promote the hell out of Kayla through this ambassadorship. Like, I'll continue to, you know, post pictures of her wings, post pictures now of her bridal gowns. I'll continue to promote the hell out of her, and I'll do that through any avenue that I possibly can. And it's so funny, because not to get into a bunch of BS, but, you know, there's a company that's tried to snuff her out. It's like, you're not going to, because even if she didn't get one sale from wings, I make 6 figures as an engineer. I'd make sure her business never failed. Trust me.
Yeah.
Like, she's here to stay. She's not going anywhere.
I totally get it. Yeah. I mean, you came in as like, she was the photographer, you were looking to support her, and then you found that this is the best way for me to support her. I totally get it. And I mean, you know, and just so I can publicly say, you know, just so there's without any doubt, this is the God's honest truth until Kayla comes on the show. You're on the show because of you, not because of Kayla. Now, when Kayla's on the show, I'm gonna say the reason I had Ric on here just because, you know, I wanted you on the show, but I knew I had to get Ric out the way and make it okay for you to have a video chat with Marvin. That's we're saving that truth. We're saving the truth for later. But As of right now, yeah, you're on the show because of you, not because of Kayla. No,
I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
I'm kidding. Believe it or not, no, it's funny. Is when I first like met you guys, it's the cool thing was I kind of met you both separately. So I didn't meet you guys as a couple. And when the first time it got brought to my attention that you guys were together, I said, "Oh, cool." And I always have the same reaction every time when I find out that these people are couples, because especially when they don't have the same last name. I say, "Okay, cool," but I didn't get that like, "Oh shit, they're another couple photographer, they're a power couple or whatever," because you're not walking in like attached to each other's hip and you're like, doing the whole like we're in love and we're a couple. And you're just like, nah. It's like you develop a relationship with Rick by yourself. You develop a relationship with Kayla. Like I said, the wings, I love using them. Whenever I have the opportunities to do so, and whenever I get to do the workshops and push myself creatively to where now it's like I need to get my closet in order to have future opportunities as I'm working with a new crop of talent, whether it's models or even clients that say I want to try the wings. I'm turning 40. I want to do this. I have this vision of having wings on in an all white dress. Now the opportunities are starting to come. So now I have to start essentially changing up my game and my style a little bit and adding to the my repertoire. But I not totally get where you're coming from with supporting just the support system, because I think that's so important.
Yeah. So
especially in our industry,
our creative endeavors bounce off of each other or help build each one up. But like I'm a good photographer in my own right. She doesn't do photography. She wants nothing to do with retouching. She wants sometimes I'll hand her my camera, but I did the settings myself, like I set it up for her. And then I want nothing to do with trying to sell wings or make wings, man. I've seen how tedious that is, but she's creative in her own right in the designs that she's made and the designs that she's put out there. And even with her bridal gowns, what she's designing. So it's like, we're strong separately. We absolutely are. We're strong as individuals, but we're stronger together. And we just kind of bounce off of each other that way.
That's beautiful. How'd you guys meet, by the way? I don't even think I ever asked that question.
You want the truth?
Yes, please. I hope it's like completely inappropriately and raunchy, because it'll make my day. Like, please tell me like I was stripping and she came there for a bachelor party and it's like.
So
that's what I always tell people. Like,
we were in the modeling and creative circles in Facebook, but we had never officially met.
Okay.
And she had a boyfriend for a very long time, and I was single for a long time. I was out of a divorce, and I was like, I'm not getting back into that BS again ever. And so I was staying single, happily single, but I was also, I'm not going to talk to some girl that has a boyfriend. That's not who I am. But I do write music. I write and record music. I write songs. I play guitar. And I posted on Facebook about looking for a female vocalist for a project that I was writing. And she was like, hey, I sing. Like, she was like, send me the song. So I sent her the songs, and like for a year, we just talked about the music. It's like, what do you think about these lyrics? What do you think about this melody? And, she would send me an audio file back, and we just talked back and forth. And then he wound up cheating on her, and they broke up. And even me, I was still happy single. Like, I wasn't trying to holler or anything, and she wasn't trying to holler at me, because her view on me is that I was jaded by love and that I was just bitter, when it came to love and relationships. So we were just friends, but I encouraged her and him that if she thought there was a chance, they needed to go get counseling. And, like a lot of churches provide free counseling, so they could just find a church that give counseling and all that jazz. And, 3 months later, they still weren't together. And I was in Ohio for work, and just there for 2 weeks for work. And she sent me a message, said, hey, sorry, we never got to meet. We won't be able to continue the music project because I'm moving to Virginia this week. And I said, oh, so I guess you and Ryan just aren't working out. It's a done deal. She's like, nope, not going to happen. I said, well, it sucks. I never got to meet you, and I'm in Ohio. Like, I would at least, love to have hung out with, person I've been writing music with for the past year. And she's like, yeah, it really sucks. And I was like, here's a dangerous thought. How about I buy you a ticket, round trip, and you're moving to Virginia, your final destination. You can come up here to Ohio, spend the week with me, and then fly straight to Virginia. where you're going anyway, where you're going to move. I said, the only thing, I got one hotel room, like, that's it, and a pull-out bed. So, I mean, you can sleep on the pull-out couch, and I stay in the room, and we just hang out as friends. And the first couple of days, we were just friends. We just hung out, went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, went out to eat, and I still did my work during the daytime as an engineer. But then we started noticing that we really liked each other. And, it was hard to say goodbye at the end of that week. I knew she was going to Virginia. I was going back to Atlanta. And we felt like we had started something beautiful. But I also didn't want her to give up on Virginia because she just now had a romantic interest in someone. So I said, I think you should still go to Virginia for about 3 months. You might find the man of your dreams there. You might find a great job. And she did. She went to Virginia, and she was there for 3 months, and we continued to talk as friends on Facebook and Messenger. And she was like, I'm not feeling this, but what I was feeling was what the time we had in Ohio. And then I said, well, let's make it official. Come back to Atlanta, and that's how it all happened. We've been together every day since.
Nice. So you're the catch then, is what you're saying. That's all I heard, is that you were the catch and she got lucky.
No, but we talk about it now. Like, we tell our friends, like, how crazy was it? Like, I was just like, I'll fly you up to Ohio, just, and then she came up to Ohio, not really knowing.
I'm pretty sure you had every guy going. The bro in me was like, bro, you really flying her out to Ohio? Because that would have been, I would have been that friend that says, you really gonna fly this girl? No, this would have been my response. Hey, you really gonna fly this chick to Ohio for you? Like, and I was like, man, she better be a banger. She better be this. She better be that. Meanwhile,
her friend said that to her. Her friend was like, he's cool and all, but you better turn your location services on, and you better text me every 30 minutes. Like,
trust me, when Tasha used to come visit me in San Antonio when I was stationed there, all her friends, girl, you better make sure you checking in, because the fact that you driving to another city go see a dude and we ain't never met him and we don't know nothing about him or this and that, and he better wife you up. Like, I mean, she heard it all and I heard it all too. Like, like, this girl coming to some driving all the way down. She driving 6 hours to come see you, bro. I hope you know that she might be the one. I was like, but when from
I knew I really, because I can admit I was kind of jaded with relationships. Like, my marriage, I was cheated on, and I was just kind of, I didn't want to trust anyone again. I was kind of over it. And what really made me go, wow, I think I really like this girl, was when Kayla flew to Ohio. We spent a few days together, and we posted a picture of us at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And she had not heard from the guy that cheated on her in 4 months. 4 months. But the moment she posted a picture with me, he calls her, and she answers, and she's like, what do you want? Like, I haven't talked to you in 4 months. And I can hear him. She doesn't even have him on speakerphone. He's just so loud. I can hear him, and he's just berating her, and he's saying things to try to make her cry. And he's saying things like, oh, I absolutely love, so-and-so, the new girl he was with. And the dogs love her too. They're in bed with her right now. It's just saying dumb high school stuff.
Just to get on it, yeah.
Yeah, and you know what she said? She said, I'm happy that you're happy, Ryan. And I'm really happy the dogs are happy too. And I just hope you have a really good life. And she hung up the phone, and I was like, yeah, I think I like this girl. Like, that was...
Yeah, you don't have to spend the rest of the week watching her cry over this shit.
I've never seen anyone handle anything like that. There would have been a lot of FUs thrown in there, and you know what I'm saying? But the way she handled that, I was like, okay, yeah, this is cool. I can do this.
I totally get it. You got, I mean, it's almost like parallels our stories. Like, we got the badass wives, we're trophy husbands. It's like, totally get it. Yeah, you can quote me on that too. I hope she hears this in the background. Yes,
yeah,
I'm saying Ric's a trophy husband.
Yeah, I heard the TV go off, so I'm sure she's got her ear pressed to the door.
The hell. Oh man, when she gets on this podcast, she is gonna kill me.
She's goofy, man.
She's like, so trophy husband, huh? Really? No, I'm hot too.
The truth is, I'm very, very lucky to have her. Because I am. You see conference Ric, right? You see photography Ric. You see Ric, who's hyped up because he's got creative peers around him, and he's like, let's create together, let's do. But Rick, on a day-to-day basis, you know, I'm pretty jaded and emo and pessimistic. And Kayla's the one, like, you know, rainbows and butterflies. And she's got a youthful, just, you know how when you're a kid, like, nobody can tell you no, like, you truly believe you can fly. You truly, like,
Oh yeah.
with your heart of hearts, like, you're 5-6 years old. No, I can fly. Like, that's Kayla, man. She has that, and it's just amazing to be around that and absorb that and have that in my life. I mean, I'm still pessimistic as hell, but she balances it out with, you know, we can do anything, you know, and I'm really lucky to have that in my life.
You're like, well, you know what? I believe it, so let's go for it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
All right, so let's segue to this last part before I let you go, because I just realized we're at 50 minutes. I mean, I could talk to you all day, and it's like catching up with an old friend. But let's talk about, you know, the one thing that, like, obviously you're really coming into your own in over these past few years, which is the education side of things. Like, one, like I said, I admittedly said I love that you don't gatekeep. I've seen you teach formally, and I've seen you teach informally. And to me, it's not like a big difference. It's like you're still pouring into it, whether it's, you know, 3 people asking a question about lighting, or you on stage in front of 50 people, you know, or 100 people even, you know. So
Yeah.
I've seen both. I've seen, you know, conference Rick and educator Rick and everything, but it's still the same person. What is it about, you know, education that has really captivated you to, like, push, you know, to really pour into and become a real breakout educator over these past 3 years?
I think the biggest thing for me was having to learn everything myself, because, like I said, when I first picked up a camera, it was so clicky there in the Atlanta area where I was at. Like, I had 3 or 4 people willing to help, but it wasn't like help. It was, you know, because of course I knew nothing about retouching at first. Everything was Lightroom presets. So I'd slap a preset on something like, this looks amazing, not realizing I completely changed, like, a person of color skin tone. Right? Like, completely changed it, made it orange or yellow or green or whatever. And just not knowing the rules, and then having people bombard you when you post a picture that you're proud of, you know, like, what I do wrong. And then finally somebody would comment, you changed their skin color, and that's what you did wrong. And that's great that they gave me that advice, so I knew not to do that again, but they never showed me how to. Right? They're nice enough to at least tell me, hey, this is what you did wrong, but never. And just dealing with that. And I'm one of those people, like, personalities, like, no, I'm going to prove people wrong. And so I told myself then, like, I never want to be that guy. Like, I didn't know if I'd get good at photography. I didn't know if I'd be an ambassador for companies or things like that. I was just doing it to have fun, but I was like, I'm never going to be the guy who purposefully tries to hinder someone else or tear someone else down just because they're in the same field I'm in. That makes absolutely no sense. And I've always been that way. I've always, when me and Kayla, like I said, sometimes I'd come home and she'd have special effects makeup done. I'd call photographer friends I knew, like, Kayla's all done up. Like, if you guys want to come join me on the shoot, like, it's always been like that. And then I realized they never invited me. Anytime they had something dope planned, cool planned, I never got an invite. And I was like, I do not want to be that guy. Don't want to be that person. And the one thing, because someone recently reached out to me about their fear of getting into the education. Not everyone's made to be an educator. I don't mean that, but you can learn how to be one. And that's not to deter them from doing it, but it's also to say, make sure people are asking. Because I didn't start doing workshops until people specifically asked me, like, a number of people, how are you doing this? How'd you do this? I'd love to come, like, learn how you did the shot, how do you do underwater photography, this and this and that. And that's when Kayla was like, you should look into doing workshops, because now people are officially asking you. But the other side, make sure people are asking you. But the other side too is, don't let your imposter syndrome take over either, and think you need special qualifications or you need permission. Like, you think Lindsay Adler looked for permission before she started teaching? You think Sue Bryce? Now, granted, they're phenomenal photographers and they had a huge portfolio. They've been doing it for years. But do you think they looked for permission from someone? before they started teaching. You don't need permission to start teaching. Just make sure that you have a good curriculum to teach and that you're able to teach it and that you have something that people want to learn. That's probably the best advice I can give. And if it wasn't for Kayla, I probably would have never started teaching workshops. She really, really pushed me to do it with, people are asking you, your work's good, you're constantly getting published, just do it. And I was falling into that trap. Like, do I need to, I'm going to get in so much trouble here, but I'm honest. I'm going to get in trouble when I'm honest. Do I need to be a professional photographer of America to teach a workshop? Do I need to get all these certifications? Do I need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on it? No, you don't. If you want to do that, great. Do that for yourself, right? You don't need it. I've never had one client ever ask me if I'm a certified photographer of America. I'm just going to say that, man. It's going to get me in trouble, man. But
it's so far. I'm like, oh, man. Damn it, I'm going to get canceled. This low budget podcast is about to get canceled again. Like,
if you want to do it for yourself. Most of the time,
I totally understand. Yeah,
someone wants it themselves, but don't sit there and say I'm not qualified if you are qualified. But also make sure you're qualified because Shutterfest recently had some applications about who's speaking there. Some people's work is not there yet, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just not. But it will be if you keep going and keep applying and keep learning. And, that's the awful.
Honestly, that's been my approach. Like, because I've been asked, like, whether it's just small little things in Texas here about, shooting couples portraits, whatever, I always continue to get in my head about, have I done enough body of work to be able to share that? Yeah, people are asking about it and wanting to get better and everything. Because my attitude about wedding photography here is like, one, I don't fight anybody over bookings. We're going to have 14,000 weddings here in North Texas. I'm going to get the 25 weddings I need out of that 14,000. There's enough to go around. So I don't need, that's why, like, you don't see me in the Facebook groups, I'll do photo video for $500 and, I'm begging to work. I'm not going to beg to work. The work is going to be there. My work speaks for itself. It's going to, I'm going to market myself accordingly, create the relationships with the venues that I work at a lot and, and go from there. And I really still believe in that, and I lean on that. But now when it comes to teaching, I do ask myself, like, have I done enough in this industry? Have I contributed enough to have a body of work and enough education to teach someone? And, do I have stuff that they want to learn? Is this good enough for them? What level do I want to teach at? Like all those things that I'm in my head about. And I know, like what you said is, the work is great. It's breaking through and going to that next level. Now I'm really trying to bring all that together. So when I do start really putting my energy behind the education space, I go from undeniable to undesirable to undeniable, where like, you got to get Marvin to come out here and teach. If he's available, let's get him. That's the spirit that I want to have, but my heart is in it because I really want, like I want people to not have to rely on YouTube and Google to figure it out. Like, I want them to know that there's avenues that, aren't designed to just try to juice money out of you and get, like, ooh, I wonder how much I can get out of this group today. Let me see if I can get somebody to buy. Like, I'm not gonna say a victim of that, but I experienced that I'll make you a great photographer as long as you buy my 3 DVD set or whatever. This is back when we were watching videos on DVDs and everything. It's almost like I met people that were photographers, and I swear, like, I see these videos on TikTok now with Andy Elliott, and I was like, I feel like I've met this photographer version of that guy, where it's like, I'll make you a great photographer, but then they're talking about working out, and they don't mention anything about photography. They just mention you not doing your best or giving your all or whatever, and a whole lot of shit talking, getting everybody riled up and everything, but they never once gave us any technical expertise about the camera itself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what did I just pay for? I just paid to listen to you talking, for nothing, or you tell me a story about how you dropped out. I was saying, like, they tell the story about how they dropped out of law school or whatever, and and now they became a successful photographer. But it's like, yeah, I'm asking the how though. Like, what was your approach? Like, where was your breakthrough? I'm asking those questions. You're telling me about this and that or whatever. How it nothing to do with what we're trying to learn. And like, that's where, like, I don't want to be that guy, obviously, but I want people to be able to avoid that and be able to just say, hey, I learned, whether it got me to the next 3 levels in my career or the next level of my career, just what I was able to teach them. And I look at you guys and I say, okay, I don't need to be too grand. I can just be very specific and just teaching this one thing and they get better. And that's what I focus on is whatever lesson I can teach you, I'm going to teach that to you,
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm in a lot of groups as you are, and that's one thing a lot of people are complaining about. Like they're like, dude, I'm paying for these workshops and it's the same information that I got 5 years ago. So there's a double-edged sword there, if you ask me. Double-edged sword. Make sure you're paying for a workshop that you need specific knowledge in. So for example, if you've been using off-camera flash 5 or 10 years, why are you signing up for an off-camera flash workshop? There's probably nothing that anybody can show you that's new to that scene that you haven't learned in the past 5 or 10 years if you've been doing it successfully for the past 5-10 years. However, if you've never done underwater photography, that's a workshop you should invest in. If you've never used colored gels or something like that, that's a workshop. You've never done maternity, maybe that's a workshop. Maybe you want to learn how to retouch like me. I don't retouch like everybody else. My retouching is a cross between as if I was doing like fashion beauty retouching and a cross between painterly fine art touch. It's like a hybrid. I kind of do a hybrid of different techniques that I would not use this technique over here if I was submitting this for a beauty campaign, right? So it's if you want to learn that, absolutely. But don't go in, like I said, signing up for a how to use Photoshop class when you've been using Photoshop for 10 years. So it's a double-edged sword. And also with the instructors, like make sure you're coming up with different content or a different way of looking at things and teaching it. I mean, I've been in workshops, unfortunately, at the end, I felt like I didn't learn anything because they're just up there talking with a projector and a dry erase board all day long. I mean, it's proven that our attention span, there was a study done on it. You got us for 30 minutes. I mean, I can stay focused to what you're saying for 30 minutes. After that, my imagination, my mind's eye, what I got to do next week, what type of groceries do I have to buy, that stuff starts taking over. So you need to have enough in your workshop to, okay, here's some informative stuff. Now let's go apply it. Here's some more informative stuff. Now let's go apply it. You have to be able to change that up. And the education stuff nowadays is really getting hit hard. People are getting sick of it. Oh, and I wanted to say this too. It's not always successful. Like, I'll always be honest with you. It's not always successful. Like my New Orleans workshop, one attendee came to the New Orleans workshop. You know what I did? I treated it like 20 attendees were there. That one person paid their money. They deserve my full attention. They deserve. And it wasn't until it was bad marketing on our end. It wasn't until after we left, people were like, when do you come to New Orleans? Like, we were there 2 weeks ago. What? I had no idea. Like it was, and then our Tucson, Arizona, I think only had two attendees, but the rest of our workshops were amazing. I mean, I'm talking 10 to 15 attendees. It's just those two places, it didn't hit. But people on social media wouldn't know that. To their eyes, it looked like I had 20, 30 people there. So that's why, like, I'll always be honest with people. Like, I don't want them thinking that I'm something that I'm not. And that's one thing we learned on the road too. There are some photographers out there that are, dude, they live in $1 million houses. Like, it'll blow your freaking mind that we got to eat dinner with or eat lunch with because we were driving to their city. There's some that do not, nowhere close to that, live in an apartment. But like on Facebook, it looks like they're up in the millions. So my biggest thing to other photographers out there is don't look at someone on Facebook and just assume based off their work or how many followers that they have that they're financially successful.
Oh yeah, I learned that at an early age. I did it was a workshop in Arizona. The person that they brought in was from California. He was a wedding photographer, and everyone work was phenomenal. And he's up there. He's doing his spills and everything. He sells pictures about his 3-volume DVDs and all this stuff. And we're looking at the work like, wow, this looks amazing. we all want to aspire to have a career like that. We all, because we had VIP tickets, we go and eat dinner afterwards. And when it came time to pay, his credit card he ran 3 different credit cards. They all got declined. And I sit there just casually was like, wait, I said, hey, give me the thing. And then that's when it hit me. It's like, this guy's supposed to be $1 million photographer. He just taught a class that we paid to be at, and he can't even pay for his dinner. And I wasn't saying, whether it was an issue with the credit cards, but when you hand out 3 different credit cards and they're all getting declined, I mean, I made it in finance long enough. Somebody made some bad, somebody got some issues going on. But besides that, it was just like that feeling of like, oh, there's what we show and then what's reality. And I know that there's a big difference in that. And I even saw that a couple of years ago when we all went out to eat dinner, and it was supposed to be a dinner that was paid for by Sigma. And then Sigma was like, yo, no, we're only paying for our ambassadors. And all the people that weren't ambassadors had that look of like fear on their eyes because they ordered a bunch of food that they had no business ordering. And my attitude's always been, I never walk into a room I can't afford to be in.
Yeah.
So when the ticket came, I was like, yeah, just give me my ticket. And I ended up paying for mine. And then the person next to me, because I'm watching her on her phone, I wasn't eavesdropping, I just glanced at, I saw she was like looking at her bank account, trying to maneuver money around. I was like, I just paid for her ticket. Because it's like, I think the embarrassment or self-embarrassment alone was enough punishment to say, I got to make some changes, whatever, what have you. But no, I totally understand where you're coming from with, people seeing what they see online, and then the reality is something totally different.
Yeah, and I'm
I've
always
met the husband and wife teams that hate each other's guts.
Yeah, I'm always honest with people. Like, dude, like what I make in photography is decent, but it's not going to pay the bills. Kayla's business is successful, so with photography we can pay the bills. When we combine the two, but I make way more as an engineer. Like, and for me to match with photography my salary as an engineer, I'd be having to make $10K a month in photography, sometimes more. That's just to match my salary. So until photography for me gets to that point, I'm not gonna quit my day job, right? And I think a lot of people need to.
But you're not also like lying to people saying, I'll teach you to make $1 million just like I did in photography. You're like,
I would never do that.
Wait, the math ain't math, and like
Yeah.
It's like I've heard somebody say, I only made this much last year. And I'm like, wait, you just said you shot. They're like, I still remember, because I'm a numbers guy. Finance is my background, and but they were celebrating this girl, how much she hustles. She's a hustle. She hustles. In 18 months, she did 75 weddings, and I was like, great. And then when we start talking numbers, and then she said, yeah, how she made this much money she says the year. She's like, I only made 40K in 2018 or whatever. And I'll go, wait
75
a minute.
weddings?
Let's rewind. If you shot 75 weddings between 2018 and 2019, and roughly, or most of 2019 and all of 2018, and it was 75 weddings, that means you worked every weekend, which was freaking insane. But 75 weddings, and you're telling me you barely cleared 40K, that means you're charging less than $1,000. The math, now don't sit here and say, you're a 6-figure photographer when the math doesn't make any sense here.
Yeah.
So either you're doing work for free, and it wasn't designed to call them out, but it's like, you can't sit here and sell off this persona that you're the 6-figure photographer, and that they need to put the machine behind you and everyone needs to follow you because you're so amazing. The 75 weddings is impressive because it's a physical feat that most of us don't want to ever do. That's too much. Yeah. That's too much work in that time span. That's working every weekend, sometimes double headers, triple headers, you name it. But if I'm doing 75 weddings, in my head, I can already count, this is how much money I should have in my account after 75 weddings. This, like, the numbers need to add up. The numbers in that scenario wasn't adding up when you're telling me that means you're charging less than $1,000, and that's insane.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are we celebrating here? We're celebrating either you did work for free or you didn't charge enough, or you don't know how to charge enough, and that's going to be your next challenge, is how to charge accordingly.
Especially for established photographers, if you've been in your area for a while, like, me and Kayla, we're moving. Dude, like, we've never lived in a place longer than 2 years. So right when I get my clientele, like, especially with our boudoir business, I get my boudoir built up. I got clients booked every weekend. It's good. Oh, the job wants to move me, And so now I'm moving and I'm starting all over again. But there's no reason, being an established photographer, if you've been in your area for a number of years, that you should only be charging that much for weddings. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's like the level up needs to happen very fast. But
Yeah.
that's definitely again another sidebar conversation for sure. But so what's next for you on the pipeline? I know summer is hitting. It's the education stuff kind of slows during the summer because we usually have our for me, I'm in summer wedding season right now. But like, what's next for you right now?
I'm actually taking it easy because I have the Pro Prince competition in September.
Okay.
And then we have
I'm excited because that competition is motivating for me because I know, going forward 2025, I'm really gonna make it a point to compete and just test myself. So I'm very anxious to see your guys' work that you guys are gonna submit. And
it's scaring
I'm
the shit out
learning.
of me, man. I ain't gonna lie. It's the imposter syndrome. Like, I've lost a few nights of sleep over it, and it's still 2 months away. I'm just being honest with you. We'll see how I do, but I'm up against some amazing competition. But yeah, I'm taking it easy with that, and then I got a destination wedding in October, and then other than that, man, I haven't really planned anything other than Shutterfest in 2025. We just traveled for 2 years straight, so I'm just trying to take a little breather.
Oh yeah, no, you deserve it. You guys enjoy the new the renewal. We made it sound like the way they presented, like you guys just got married. Like, oh, they just got married, but you guys been married for a hot minute. But it's the first time. It
was our first time doing vows in front of God, and writing our own vows, and her walking down the aisle, and yeah, it was amazing.
Nice, yeah. But I mean, you got so much stuff to look forward to now. So yeah, you deserve the break to take it easy and everything. Because when 2025 hits, we're hitting it hitting it hard. I'm breaking into a new market out here with the seniors, and now that my daughter accelerated me in the senior market because she graduated, but now I've got a bunch of kids from her school that have now booked for their senior sessions. I'm like, oh, this is about to be interesting, and this may have some legs for us. So now it's about creating unique opportunities and unique experiences for these kids and creating something amazing for their families and, parlaying that into more opportunities. That's the goal. So, and I'm going to get with you about retouching too, because I mean, I realized I never truly learned how to do Photoshop or retouch. I've been getting by on the get it right in camera and then just fix, the little flaws, whatever, but to really take it to that next level, competition level, I got to learn the retouching. So I'm definitely going to be hitting you up a lot about that.
Honestly, being honest with you, I'll be more than happy to show you anything I know on retouching, but eVoto is kind of killing the game on that, man.
Really I know is. It's like, but what happens if I do a competition and we can't use eVoto, or if I have to do like on the spot, I have to do like on the spot, like the example I use is Creator Series. They had to edit everything right there on those laptops. So I don't know if they have access to eVotos or whatever. So if all I have access to is Photoshop and Lightroom, how can I do this in Lightroom? That's what I got to learn, because I never truly learned how to do Lightroom, because I was taught day one, get it right in camera. You never have to worry about Photoshop. And that's always been something that's been stuck in my head.
Absolutely.
Just all you should do is color correct and that's it. That's the only editing you need to do is color correct, and you're fine. Because if you get it right in camera, you don't have to worry about all the other stuff. But removing stray hairs, removing all this stuff, and skin softening, all that. Like, I never truly learned how to do the dodge and burns and stuff. So that's going to be my goal. Again, I'm still growing, and even in 10 years in the game, still always getting better, because I'm never going to settle. I'm always chasing.
And it's good to see where you're weak at, right? Like, I tell people all the time, like, if you were to ask me what I'm weak in, it's posing women, because I've always had Kayla next to me, and Kayla's always kind of like, and I've realized it within the past year and a half, like, okay, Kayla's been my poser. Like, what am I going to do when Kayla's not there? Like, Kayla be like, do this, do that, do this, do that, put your feet like this. And I'm like, I can always pose a guy, no problem, because I used to model as a male, but it's a little bit different. So that's one thing I've been watching a ton of videos on the past year and a half, ever since I realized, hey, that's a weakness I have, is posing, and there's an art to posing.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. As I mean, I always get asked that question about, like, how do you creatively pose your couples and stuff. I said, honestly, I go in with a general bullet point of ideas, but then I have to see the couple, I have to see the dress, I have to see all these other things that factor in what I'm going to do. And I said, honestly, posing is the last thing I think about, because I want to make sure I got good lighting.
Yeah.
And then I got a good composition. If I get my lighting and composition right, I can pose. That's not a problem. But if the posing doesn't mean shit to me if the lighting and composition looks like garbage. And that's where people, they want to learn, you know, how to do 100 poses in 2 minutes, but you know, we need to be focused on making sure the light's right in that 2 minutes, and all you get, you know, if all you got them for is 30 seconds, that's fine. But if the lights are, you know, you give me 50 poses of crap, it's 50 poses that, you know, doesn't matter, because all I'm seeing is the terrible lighting, bad composition, you know, all that stuff, you know. That's
Absolutely.
the first thing that we're going to look at. So yeah, definitely.
I just had to recently judge a bunch of images for a competition. Can't say the competition, but I was like a guest judge on it. And I mean, I had to take away points for posing mistakes. Even little things with the eyes, like if you're looking too far this way, all I see is the white of your eyes, right? Like the whole image was beautiful, but that one thing made you lose points. Like people don't realize how much really goes when your work is being critiqued, how much really goes into it. And even me, there's times I've went back and looked at things and like, man, like I should have staggered her feet a little more. It would have made this image so much better. Or, you know, his arm is a little too locked out, a little too straight, you know, it doesn't look natural. There's things like that. You don't realize how important it is. So that's where I also recommend getting a mentor. I have one, and I will to the day I die. Dude, I could be Lindsay Adler status, and I would still have a mentor. It's someone who I send my work to, and I say, what's your honest opinion on this? And he'll tell me. He'll be like...
You want to share who that is, or is that or are you keeping that a secret?
I don't want a bunch of people to bombard him. But
I know it's all my dozens of listeners. I'm like, oh shit, Rick's using so and so. Okay, hey man, I heard you. I heard Rick on a podcast say he uses you. I want to use you.
Well, my biggest inspiration as a photographer is Richard Wood out of New Zealand.
Okay. Nice.
I mean, he's just amazing, and he wins so many awards. And when you have your stuff critiqued, he does it in such a respectful way anyway to begin with. But above and beyond that, you have to be willing to have your stuff critiqued, and
it's tough, man.
To have someone
put yourself out there,
like because you know you love this image, you fell in love with it. It's a piece of art to you, and to have it would have been so much better if you would have done this instead. Next time, do this instead. You got this right, but this you got wrong, right? Like, and then you have to sit back and accept that and say, he's right. He's absolutely right. And you got to learn. So I would recommend anybody, I don't care what level you are, get you a mentor or get you a friend that something about them inspires you, and send them your work, and don't get offended. You got to.
Oh, yeah. I had to learn that lesson the hard way. You know, I mean, I led with my ego the first, you know, the early days when people were like, man, your shit sucks. I was like, I didn't even ask you. So that didn't include that. But it was when I sought it out, and it was like almost like, man, I felt like I got shitted on. But then it was like, you know, I use that as fuel to get better, because, you know, that's when I realized, oh, I'm buying into the hype. I need to, you know, really do push myself. And it taught me the lesson of, if you feel like you're the best photographer in that room, move to another room. You should always be in a room where you're going to get challenged and get better. And I've always subscribed. That's why I love going to Shutterfest, because I know there's going to be times where I might be the better photographer out of the 6 in this group. But if I go over to this group, now I'm the worst. Or if I'm, you know, I'm working with Rick, I was like, well, now I got somebody I'm chasing here. I'm challenging, you know, he's going to challenge me creatively. It's like, you know, you get into these different scenarios where you're just constantly getting better. And I always said iron sharpens iron, you know?
Yeah. And you would challenge me as well. You would challenge me as well. That's what people don't understand is as you put yourself in more situations like that, you learn from everybody. Like I've learned from people who've been doing it for 2 years, but their eyes different, and they saw something different that I didn't see. And because me as an engineer, I can tend to be like, has to be like this, has to be like this. Don't cut off at the ankles.
Symmetry, symmetry.
Don't cut off any, you know, like I'm so like, that's my mind. But then someone will be like, oh no, I'm just going to pop this little side weird angle over here. And I'm like, oh my God, I love that. I love that. You know, like, what'd you do?
Oh, yeah. Well, I got to tell people all the time, I said, you know, when they see me like, man, you go through so many poses so fast, and when you're posing your clients on a wedding day. And I said, yeah, the wedding day dictates that I have to go fast because I don't get a lot of time. But the one thing I always have to say to myself is slow down, because you go so fast that you miss certain key shots that you could have got in that moment as well, because you've gotten so used to going so fast that you're just like okay, can I cover 80% of what they want? Absolutely, cool. But sometimes that slowing down, you get that one shot that negates all the 80% that you just did. And
Yeah.
that one shot is that iconic shot that for them, it's everything. For you, emotionally, creatively, it's everything. But you got to slow down though, too. Even though you're pressed for time, slow down a little bit more. And I'm always preaching that now, slow down. And again, even trying to apply those things, whether it's just portraits or weddings or anything that I'm doing. But yeah, okay. So last question before we go, because man, we gone over an hour. That's gonna be one of my longer podcasts. It's awesome. But so the I guess the last real question I want to hit before I let you go is what's pushing you nowadays? What's your motivation going forward?
Right now, it's to do something I haven't done before. Because you said earlier that I do have such a wide range of work, and anyone can go on my portfolio and they're like, okay, he does maternity, he does weddings, he does boudoir, he does portraits, he does fine art, he does underwater. Like, the only thing I don't do is newborn. I've tried.
Oh wow.
I've tried 3 times and failed, but not because of me, not because of my lighting. I had the little space heater, I had the gloves, I had the little puppy pads in case the baby messes himself, or I had all that. Is because the clients that I had, the moms were a little too overbearing and too protective of the child, so they kept waking up the baby. So that's one thing I haven't been successful with yet. But what's pushing me right now is honestly working with a good friend and very talented photographer, but she's also a designer, or stylist, I should say, Paulina Gwaltney.
Okay.
Just being there at her studio, and she offered for us to do a workshop at her studio, and I was like, great, I brought all my backdrops, all my lights, and she was like, can I build some sets? I was just going to use the backdrops that I had and the props that I brought, but she's like, can I build some sets? And just watching her build sets, like, that's something I've not done, man. Like, and I feel like I've done a wide genre of things. So next, when things die down with the Pro Prince Invitational, and I want to start building some sets like she did, because, dude, they take your imaging game to the next level.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that sounds exciting. I'm interested to see that come to fruition for you.
So that's what's
and
motivating me.
I'm interested to see. Yeah, I'm interested to see you with the newborns too. So let's see if Rick can do the kiddos, man, because they're challenging.
Oh, it's finding the right mom. It's fine, and I'm not saying the pictures were terrible, but for me, they're like, I'm not gonna post these.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. But you got in the defense of a parent, especially if they're a new parent or whatever. Again, we can't experience what it's like to be a woman. So, mama bear mode, like, they're gonna be protective. It's almost like you got to expect it.
Maybe it's my sarcastic jokes got me in trouble too about how my daughter has second baby syndrome. Maybe I shouldn't have said that going into.
Oh yeah. Bad call.
I got the worst sarcastic joke. No, I never said that to them.
Yeah.
So in my Shutterfest class, I got to tell this story real quick before we get off.
Okay.
In my Shutterfest class, I was going over, like, how can you tell what type of lighting is being used? Based off shadows on the face, what part of the face is lit up, and catch lights. I was using a picture of my daughter in the water, and we just used like a little Godox V1 for this shot, and but you could see the catch light in her eyes. And then in the class, I was joking, and she was in the water, and I said, "Oh yeah," I said. And then after I got this frame, I held her down under the water for 30 seconds, gave her a little baptism, fatherly baptism there, right? And like nobody laughed. Like, they all thought I drowned my daughter for real. I'm like, she's alive as well. She's okay.
And they're going through like, I've never seen any picture of his daughters. Oh my God, he really did kill his daughter. He sacrificed his daughter for photography.
That's right, yeah. Like, trust me, I didn't drown my daughter. She's still alive. She's good.
Allegedly. No. The only way we can prove she's alive is if she comments on the podcast now. Like, I swear I'm getting everything. I swear to God, I'm alive, everyone.
She's just as sarcastic as I am. She'll probably say something like, really, this is my dad responding through my account or something like that.
Nice. Well, hey, man, dude, it was awesome having you on, man. I'm glad we finally got to catch up and do this, man.
The Kayla's right here.
I look crazy. crazy.
Okay, listen.
Okay.
It's because you are crazy, Kayla, and you're going to be on this show now.
No.
Hey, he called me.
I did.
He is a trophy.
Oh, now she wants to come in the camera.
Well,
I
thank you
can't
for
wait.
having
Man,
us,
I can't wait.
Marvin.
Oh yeah, my pleasure, man. Thank you again for being on here. And where can everybody find you on social media?
Ric Lewis Photography, Rick without a K, RICLEWIS Photography, and then Kayla Douglas.
Awesome, yes. And I'll go ahead and tag everything in the show notes so they can find you guys. But yeah, man. Hey, until I see you again next time, man. Seriously, take care of yourself, man. I can't wait to see you again.
You too, brother. Thank you.
That's it for this week's show. Again, thanks for tuning in. Remember to like, subscribe, and share with others. Leave those reviews and check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Until then, see you next week.